Did you know that the Bible accidentally left out a queen's name? That's right. You heard me right. And it is all because of misogyny. Hello, everyone. Today I want to talk about Athaliah, the only woman who ever ruled Judah. You can read about her in 2 Kings chapter 11. Now, before we begin, I want to say that this video contains mild spoilers for the biblical account of Athaliah. So if you don't want to be spoiled, then I would suggest you stop watching now. Anyway, let's get into it. Athaliah was the daughter of Ahab and Jezebel, the infamous rulers of Israel, famous for their worship of Baal and their general awfulness. In 2 Kings 8, verse 26, we are told that she became queen mother, that is the queen regent, while her son, Ahaziah, became king. This was when the kingdom of Israel split into two separate kingdoms. To keep things simple, we'll call them Northern Israel and Southern Judah. Both Ahaziah and Athaliah worshipped Baal, which was a huge no in Judah. So after Ahaziah died in a battle with his uncle Jehu, who was like, "Hey, enough with the Villainess already," Athaliah set out to make her grandson, another Ahaziah, king of Judah too. And so she did, but not in the way one would expect. First, she killed off all the royal heirs, including her own son, to secure the throne for her grandson. At this point, you might think that I'm being dramatic, but I assure you I'm not. She literally went around the palace killing people with her own hands. It says that she destroyed off all the seed of the house of David, according to the scripture. And yes, that includes her own son. Yep, that's some next-level stuff right there. But wait, there's more. After doing this, she made herself queen. Imagine for a moment, if you will, how messed up that is. This woman just went on a murder spree, killing her own flesh and blood, and then she took the throne for herself. Yet the Bible simply glosses over this atrocity by saying, "So she became queen and ruled over the land." No mention of how she got to that position, no details about what happened afterwards. Just a nice little blurb about her taking over. I think that this happened for a couple of reasons. One reason could be that the writers of these texts were men writing from a patriarchal perspective. In that case, they were probably quite uncomfortable with a woman ruling over the kingdom, and therefore they tried to minimize her role in the story. If this is true, this would not be the first time that the Bible did something like this either. For example, Hagar, the former wife of Abram, who went on to become Abraham, and Sarah, his wife, who he also had a son with. Hagar, she was a strong and independent woman who left her master to fend for himself in the wilderness. Not exactly an ideal figure for a patriarchal society. In Genesis chapter 16, it says that Hagar conceived and bore Ishmael, and she looked well on him and bore him up on her breasts. But when the child grew up, it was said, "Get out of here, you and your son, go back to your people." Notice that the text attributes the pregnancy and birth of Ishmael solely to Hagar. But when Ishmael grew up, it was Abraham who decided what should happen to him. Again, Abraham is the one who gets to decide what happens to the son. He is the one who is the head of the household. Another explanation for why Athaliah is left out of Judah's history is the fact that she brought idolatry to the region. And that was, like I said, a huge no. In fact, the reason why the line of Ahaziah ended with him was because of this whole Baal thing. People just got sick of it. And so maybe because Athaliah was part of the family that started this Baal craze in the first place, they didn't really want to associate her with Judah at all. I mean, they wouldn't even let her grandson, who was only a child, become king because he was following his parents' footsteps. So yeah, I think that makes sense. Now I do want to point out that although her son was made king, he was only a puppet ruler. All of the real power was held by Athaliah. So I think it's a bit unfair to blame a kid for what his mom did. Regardless, after Athaliah usurped the throne, the Bible tells us that she appointed her son as king and that she conducted religious ceremonies for Baal. According to the book of Kings, she did this for 6 years. Then suddenly she's gone. You see, in 2 Kings chapter 12, we are abruptly introduced to a new king, one Joash, who was 7 years old when he began to reign. That's right, no mention of Athaliah anywhere. Like she just vanished. It's as if she was never there at all. So what happened to her? Well, according to some, she was killed by her own grandson, Joash, when he was 7 years old. That's some next-level stuff right there. Imagine being able to kill your grandmother when you're only 7 years old. I don't know how he did it, but he did. As for why the records were kept this way, I think it's because of a combination of factors. As I said earlier, The writers of these texts were most likely men who lived in a patriarchal society where women were not allowed to hold positions of power. So they may have felt uncomfortable with the idea of a woman ruling over the kingdom. Additionally, Athaliah was a worshiper of Baal, which was seen as a false god in the eyes of the Israelites. So her religious beliefs would have also been a reason for her to be excluded from the official records. Lastly, the Bible was written during a time when the people of Judah were trying to re-establish their identity and their connection to their God after the destruction of their kingdom. So they may have wanted to erase any mention of foreign rulers, including Athaliah, from their history books. What's interesting, though, is that Athaliah's story doesn't end there. You see, there is a small mention of her in the New Testament. In Matthew chapter 1, verse 12, while discussing the genealogy of Jesus, it says that King David sired Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, and Jehu, the son of Rehoboam, and whose mother was Naamah, the wife of Milcom, and whose mother was Athaliah. And look, she isn't called queen here. She is literally listed alongside her husband and son as if she was worthy of having her name written down in the same breath as kings. It's clear that Athaliah's story was deliberately minimized and distorted, mainly because she was a woman who took the throne for herself and because of her involvement in Baal worship. For these reasons, her name was erased from the official records of Judah. However, the memory of Athaliah lives on in the hearts and minds of many people today. There are people who remember her as a strong and independent woman who was not afraid to take what she wanted. There are also people who remember her as a wicked and evil queen who brought nothing but destruction to the kingdom of Judah. But let me ask you this, what do you think about Athaliah? Do you see her as a villain or as a silenced ruler whose story was erased by misogyny? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. I would also like to take a moment to say a special thank you to our supporters whose names you can see on screen right now. I'm so grateful for your support, and I couldn't have done it without you. If you'd like to learn more about supporting the channel, please visit our support page. Until next time, stay curious, stay questioning, and stay awesome.